What if I told you that getting completely lost in the ancient backstreets of Kyoto, with no GPS, no Japanese language skills, and a dead phone battery, would become the most profound travel experience of my life? By the end of this video, you'll discover why the greatest adventures happen when everything goes wrong, and how one terrifying moment of being utterly lost in Japan taught me the secret that professional travel photographers don't want you to know. It's 4:47 p.m. on a humid Thursday afternoon in July 2023. The golden hour light filters through the dense canopy of bamboo that towers above me as I stand at what appears to be a crossroads between three different paths in Kyoto's Arashiyama district. The air is thick with the scent of wet earth and the subtle fragrance of cherry blossoms that have long since fallen. The only sounds are the gentle rustle of bamboo leaves and the distant hum of cicadas that seems to vibrate through the entire forest. I'm Alex Chen, 26 years old, and this is my first solo trip to Japan. For 6 months, I've been planning this moment down to the minute. Every temple visit scheduled, every restaurant reservation confirmed, every Instagram-worthy photo location meticulously researched and mapped. My phone contains 17 different travel apps, 43 saved Google Maps locations, and a detailed itinerary that accounts for every hour of my 10-day journey. This trip represents more than just vacation time. After 2 years of working 80-hour weeks at a startup that ultimately failed, losing the relationship that I thought would lead to marriage, and moving back in with my parents at 26, I desperately need proof that I can navigate something successfully, that I can have an adventure, capture amazing content, and return home with stories that make the struggle worth it. The pressure is immense. My Instagram followers expect daily updates of picture-perfect moments. My family expects me to find myself in the spiritual heart of Japan. I expect myself to somehow transform from a lost, burned-out millennial into the kind of person who has meaningful experiences in exotic places. This has to be perfect, I whisper to myself as I check my phone for the 100th time today. I can't afford for this trip to be another failure. What I don't realize, standing at this bamboo crossroads with my perfectly planned itinerary, is that in approximately 13 minutes, every plan I've made will become completely irrelevant. And that moment of complete plan failure will lead me to the most authentic travel experience I've ever had. The moment that changes everything happens at exactly 5:03 p.m., when I decide to take just one quick photo off the marked bamboo grove path. I see a shaft of golden light cutting through the bamboo at an angle that looks perfect for that cinematic shot I've been planning. I step off the main path for what I think will be 30 seconds. That's when I hear it, or rather, when I stop hearing it. The gentle murmur of other tourists that has been my audio compass for the last hour suddenly goes silent. I turn around to find the main path and realize I'm looking at 3 identical-seeming openings between bamboo stalks. The golden light that looked so perfect for photography has now created a maze of shadows that makes every direction look the same. No problem, I tell myself, pulling out my phone. GPS will fix this in 2 seconds. The screen shows the dreaded spinning circle of no signal, followed by the battery icon flashing red before the phone dies completely. In the span of 10 seconds, I've gone from confident solo traveler to completely lost tourist in a foreign country, where I speak exactly 7 words of Japanese. The next 2 hours become a masterclass in everything that can go wrong when you abandon your comfort zone. I choose path after path, each one leading deeper into residential neighborhoods that definitely aren't in any guidebook. The sun begins to set, casting long shadows that make every street look ominous rather than picturesque. I pass elderly Japanese women tending small gardens who smile politely, but can't understand my increasingly frantic attempts at communication. I encounter narrow streets that dead end at private homes, forcing me to backtrack and try another route. My carefully planned dinner reservation is now 2 hours overdue, and my confidence crumbles with each wrong turn. This is a disaster, I think, as the sky begins to darken. I'm going to spend my first night in Kyoto sleeping on a stranger's doorstep. My friends are going to see my Instagram story of being hopelessly lost, and it's going to confirm everything they already think about my inability to handle real challenges. But somewhere around hour 3 of being lost, something unexpected begins to happen. the panic starts to fade, replaced by a strange sense of curiosity. Without my phone to document every moment, without my itinerary dictating my next move, I start to actually see the world around me. I notice the way elderly neighbors bow to each other across narrow streets. I observe how children's bicycles are left unlocked outside houses, a testament to a level of trust I've never experienced. I smell the complex aromas drifting from family kitchens where dinner is being prepared with ingredients I can't identify. For the first time in years, I'm completely present in a moment because I have no choice but to be. The breakthrough moment happens at exactly 8:23 p.m. when I turn a corner and find myself face to face with a tiny ramen shop that has no English signage, no tourist reviews, and exactly 4 seats occupied by local salarymen quietly enjoying their dinner. The elderly chef behind the counter looks up at me, clearly a lost foreigner, and simply nods toward the empty 5th seat. I point to the bowl in front of the customer next to me and hold up one finger. The chef smiles and begins preparing my order. For the next 45 minutes, I eat the most incredible ramen of my life, while surrounded by the gentle conversation of people who have no interest in my travel story, my Instagram presence, or my carefully curated adventure. This is it, I realize as I taste broth that's been simmering for hours, made by hands that have perfected this craft over decades. This is what I came to Japan to find. The chef refuses to let me pay full price, gesturing that since I found his shop the hard way, truly lost, I've earned the local discount. As I leave, he hands me a hand-drawn map on the back of a napkin, showing me the most direct route back to the main tourist area. But instead of following his map immediately, I take the long way. I wander through quiet residential streets where families are settling in for the evening, where cats patrol their territory with confidence, where the modern world feels wonderfully distant. When I finally return to my hotel at nearly 10 p.m., I'm exhausted, slightly sunburned, and completely transformed. The trip I thought had been ruined by getting lost has become the most authentic cultural experience I've ever had. I don't post anything on Instagram that night. Instead, I sit in my hotel room and write in an actual notebook, something I haven't done in years, trying to capture the feeling of being genuinely surprised by the world. That night of being lost in Kyoto changed not just the rest of my Japan trip, but my entire approach to travel and life. I learned that the moments we remember most aren't the ones we plan perfectly. They're the ones that happen when our plans fall apart and we're forced to trust ourselves and the kindness of strangers. The remaining 8 days of my trip became a masterclass in intentional spontaneity. I still did research and made loose plans, but I built in time for getting lost, for saying yes to unexpected invitations, for following curiosity instead of itineraries. I discovered hidden shrines that don't appear on any tourist map, attended a local festival by pure coincidence, and spent an entire afternoon learning origami from an elderly woman in a park who spoke no English but taught me more about patience and creativity than any workshop I'd ever paid for. But most importantly, I learned that authentic travel isn't about collecting experiences or creating content. It's about being open to the possibility that the world has something to teach you that you never thought to look for. The secret that professional travel photographers and Instagram influencers don't want you to know is this: the most profound travel experiences can't be photographed, they can't be scheduled, and they definitely can't be replicated by following someone else's itinerary. Since that trip, I've applied the get lost on purpose principle to travel in 12 different countries. Not recklessly, I always have backup plans and safety measures, but with the intentional willingness to let serendipity guide part of the adventure. The result has been a collection of travel memories that feel genuinely mine, rather than reproductions of experiences that thousands of other travelers have had in the exact same locations, taking the exact same photos. If you're planning your own adventure and want to experience the kind of authentic moments that happen when you're willing to get a little lost, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Next week in part 2, I'll share the specific strategies I've developed for productive wandering, how to build spontaneity into your travel plans without sacrificing safety or completely abandoning your must-see destinations. I've also put together a free guide called The Lost Traveler's Toolkit: How to find authentic adventures off the beaten path. That includes my preparation strategies for safe, spontaneous exploration, conversation starters for connecting with locals, and the mental shifts that turn travel disasters into travel breakthroughs. The link is in the description below. Remember, the best travel stories don't come from perfect execution of perfect plans. They come from perfect curiosity when imperfect situations force you to interact with the world as it actually is, not as you imagined it would be. Your next great adventure is waiting in the space between your itinerary items, in the moments when your phone dies and your plans fail, in the willingness to trust that getting lost might be the best way to find what you're really looking for. Sometimes the journey begins the moment you admit you have no idea where you're going.